Have you ever wondered what therapy is like, or what your loved ones talk about when they are with their therapist? Well, now you can be a fly on the wall in a real therapy session, an unnoticed observer. During this episode, you'll hear a real group therapy session with a modern twist. Our group therapy sessions are done as a mock podcast where participants are encouraged to have open dialogue about their mental health and addiction challenges. As an observer of this episode, we hope that you will learn something helpful for those among us whose struggles often go unnoticed. All personally identifiable information has been removed for the privacy of the participants. Thank you for listening.
And everybody's names on the show again. I am Sharkman. You are?
Taylor.
You are?
JJ.
JJ and?
Jonah.
And we've got a great show for you all tonight. You know this broadcasts to North Korea. It's the only thing they get. And this is the only show they get in North Korea that's been approved by
a bunch of kids in rehab.
Great leader.
Have you seen the movie The Interview?
Yes, that's a funny ass movie.
I saw a part of it.
Yeah, but like he likes these interviews like he likes.
What?
He likes these interviews like he likes Katy Perry. Mm-hmm. Like in the movie, he really likes Katy Perry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like Katy Perry? Katy Perry is crazy as a bat,
Katy
but
Perry.
I mean, she seems to me like probably the craziest celebrity, and that's kind of why I like Katy Perry, because you know she's like just off the wall nuts. You ever watch any Katy Perry music video?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Did you ever? My favorite one is Bon Appetit Baby. You ever seen that one?
And she like eats the people.
They're like chopping her into pieces on a cutting board while she's singing. Like it's odd. It's odd. That's all I'll say about it. It's just weird. If you haven't seen it, it's freaking weird.
So hamsters.
What?
Oh yeah, hamsters.
What about hamsters?
He doesn't remember.
See, you said I had a good memory. You were wrong. I know we talked about them, but I forgot what we said.
You told us to bring up hamsters in every group.
Oh, did you do it?
No,
No.
we haven't
Oh,
successfully infiltrated.
We'll have
It's
to come.
hard to do that. Like just bring up hamsters.
So how was your week, guys?
It's pretty good.
Boring.
Boring, good, and boring. Wow, overwhelmingly boring voted. Wow, the North Koreans will be excited to find out why.
Because we're stuck here
Yeah,
with nothing to do.
we've lost everyone except ourselves.
Did you ever have them to begin
I saw
with,
rats
though?
today.
That's true.
We saw rats today.
we saw
Actually,
rats today, and then we had a
mice.
crazy breathwork session.
We
Really?
did. I almost cried
Yeah,
Why?
I was, like,
And I got to
hearing
touch
things.
because it was
horses.
very emotional.
I don't know. It was,
And I
it was
conquered my
crazy.
fear of horses
Oh yeah, I was.
Why were you afraid of horses?
because horses scare me. Horses, dolphins, and spiders.
Horses are so
I'm scared of spiders. Dolphins are a little creepy because they know too much.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. They're too smart.
Yeah, they know.
Too smart.
They know
Too
our
damn
secrets.
They know ours.
They
But-
do know our secrets. Like they're plotting against us. Like the apocalypse will not be zombies or shit like that. Sorry, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be dolphins.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be like the Hitchhiker's Guide into the Galaxy. They leave. and let us-
You've read that?
Yeah.
I've read that too. It's such a big book.
Yeah.
Really, I haven't read it.
What about Sharknado?
I don't know if the horses are the enemy. I used to, when I was in my 20s, I used to have a fake country band. It was really funny, called Wally Horton and the Rivermen. It was just me and like a few friends of mine and my brother. And we used to make like fake country songs about like being really American. And one of them,
Sounds about
like
right.
one that I wrote that I really liked was about horses. I'll do a piece of it because I still think it's hysterical. I'd be like, at the end of the concert, I'd be like, I just want to thank y'all for coming out. And hey, sit up. You can't get like too comfortable. I know how you get.
I don't get like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'd be like, yeah, thank y'all for coming out. We've been Wally Horton and the Rivermen. We're going to do a song for you called Horses.
Horses.
And it goes like, I want to take this whole audience and turn y'all into horses and set you free to run on a field one day. I want to take this audience and turn you into horses, 'cause horses are free like the USA. And horses never get divorces. Horses live life with no remorses. Horses don't need to show off with no fancy Porsches, 'cause they got all the horsepower they need.
Oh, that's dope.
Horses are free like the USA. So yeah, it's un-American to dislike horses. You gotta like horses.
Well, now I do.
There you go. How'd you get over your fear?
Laughed at me,
Yeah,
and so I pet the horse.
you were shamed out of
I
your
was
fear.
shamed. Yes, so I was
Hey.
like, I'm gonna pet that damn horse, and it was really cute.
If
and I
it
pet
works, it works. You know. I think we like live in a time when like there's a good side to being super sensitive because, you know, it's good. On the other hand, sometimes you just need to shame somebody out of their horse fear. It just
Exactly.
works.
But I will never be caught dead with a dolphin.
Well, so only live.
Only
Live or dead.
live or dead.
Once you're dead, who cares if you're caught?
I fed dolphins before.
That's scary. You're feeding the enemy.
They're so cute.
That's how they trick you.
Beware
That's,
of
that's how
dolphins.
they get you. That's how they get you. They're like all cute and like, and then they eat your face off.
He is right. I don't have any country songs about dolphins.
Exactly.
They are the enemy. They're Russian.
They're Russian.
So
They're the Soviet.
Damn.
they come
communists.
over from the Black Sea and they have bad intentions.
Oh.
But it's okay if you like them. It's fine.
Yeah, I love them.
We're not going to judge you for it. It's all right. So it was boring except for you saw rats where in this house?
No, just
Right there.
They were just chilling.
They're
Right.
chilling and shit.
They
in
were
that
playing
tree.
tag.
Really?
Yeah.
Rat
They're
tag?
probably still there.
Rat
Rat
tag.
tag. There was two of them. They
Yeah,
were
it was pretty
playing.
cool.
You know, in Vienna, I went to Vienna, Austria, and
That is awesome.
Is that in Australia?
No, that's
no,
in Austria.
Austria
Where's
was
Austria?
right next to
Austria,
Germany.
Yeah.
Auschwitz was?
No.
That was
Auschwitz was in Poland,
in Poland. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but that Austria was filled with Nazis, and my grandmother had to run away because we're Jewish, so she had to leave Austria. So I went back with her.
You Jewish?
I'm Jewish, yeah.
I'm Jewish too.
All right, what's up? A secret Jewish
Shalom.
handshake? Yeah, all right.
Mazel tov.
So we went back. My grandma hadn't been back in 80 years because I like to joke and be like she owed some money and she ran away from her debts, but really it was from Nazis. But she owed some money to the Austrian government. So we went back and we went to this big building. Just a real quick story. We went to this big government building that used, like during World War II, was like Nazi headquarters
one
of
of the
Austria.
She's one of the few Holocaust survivors.
Of Austria, for sure, yeah.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
want to meet her.
She's an awesome lady, thank God. She's tough. She is tough. Let me tell you. She's Jewish, but she's still Austrian. And Austrian people, they don't mess around. They're a tough people. So we went to this government building, and during World War II, it was like filled with Nazis, and it still looks like, you ever seen Inglourious Bastards?
Mm-hmm.
It still looks like a set from Inglourious Bastards, like the red carpets on the stairs and everything. It looks Nazi as hell in that building. And it's the government, it's like City Hall, and you know what it's called? It's in German. In English, I guess it's City Hall. In German, it's called the Rat House. And I'm like, what an appropriate name to have been filled with Nazis. It's the Rat House. You know, a bunch of rats. Anyway. And I like taking that back. I take it back for the Jewish people because they call Jews rats, so I turn it on them. Jewish
There's
power.
a book about that, like it's called Mouse, M-A-U-S.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I read it.
That book.
I read that book in military school.
You were in military school?
Yes, sir.
It's cool.
No, it was not cool. Anything but cool.
But did you learn some good military stuff? Are you a sniper now?
American Sniper.
American Sniper. I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
So yeah, so you guys saw some rats, you did some good breath work, you reconnected with horses. I mean, it sounds like a pretty good week on the whole.
That was just today.
Yeah, that was all today.
That was all today.
That was all today.
Nothing
You guys
else.
are probably just not remembering this week then. Like,
Yeah, probably not.
yeah.
I don't know.
I got in a fight with my mom over the
I
phone.
read some letters. Oh, we talked about some scary ghost stories. That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I was
We
crying.
blew up some grapes in the oven.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, not the oven, the microwave.
Yeah.
You can blow up grapes?
They
Yeah, you
create
can make plasma with grapes.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Put them in the microwave?
Take
For like how long?
I don't know. I did like 30 seconds and then like caramelized the grape.
It's amazing.
That was pretty cool.
How am I 35 and I never knew about that? I've been held. There's a lot of information that's been held back from me, probably deliberately. Could have been caramelizing grapes my whole life. So how's your like individual recoveries going? Do you guys? I mean, you connected with your horse brothers and sisters, but what?
I want drugs.
You want jokes?
Drugs.
Oh, drugs.
Yeah.
Jokes can be drugs too. You know, if you laugh loud, hard enough, it kind of feels like a high. But you want drugs, huh?
Yep.
That sucks that you still want drugs. Why are you feeling that?
Because I just love drugs. You know?
That's like a really lazy answer. Like, are you just feeling like crawling out of your skin or what?
I don't know. I just really hate myself, and I just want the drugs.
Okay, so that's the answer. It's because you hate yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just got to get to the reason why you hate yourself and then dismantle it from within, and then you will not want drugs anymore. It's just basically how it works. It doesn't work that quickly, but it works. Like, why do you hate yourself?
Because I don't feel worthy of anything.
Okay, that's usually like part of it, but why don't you feel worthy of anything? Let's do this step by step.
I don't know. I don't feel beautiful. I hate my body. Being like my parents telling me that I'm just a big disappointment just has really upset me, you know.
Do you believe them?
Yeah.
What are their reasons? Let's look at that.
Because I'm a drug addict, because I'm selfish, self-centered, you know.
Well, that's all drug addicts. All drug addicts are really selfish, pretty much. I mean, at least that's what my mom told me. That's the thing with drug addicts.
Yeah, but also, like, you are a drug addict in response to them being hypercritical of you. And then they're, like, hypercritical of you for being a drug addict. So, I mean, it's not all their fault. I don't like when people are like, oh, it's all your parents' fault. Because it's not. I mean, we have free choice and we do make our decisions, but who's programming you is pretty important. Like, you can brainwash people to do almost anything if you have them every single day and you just feed them stuff and they believe you. Like, that's how cults, like actual cults, operate. And what people don't realize is, like, your parents, your family unit is a cult. Like, you literally are growing up in a cult of your family. So when they are programming your mind from a very young age, and they're telling you how to feel about yourself. And they're not telling you to feel great about yourself, and therefore here you sit saying, you know, I hate myself and I don't feel worthy and I want drugs, because who wouldn't want drugs to escape feeling unworthy and hating yourself? Like, let's be real. Like, if the people who are supposed to protect you and love you the most are telling you that you're not worthy and that you're a disappointment, and you are internalizing it and believing it as any impressionable young person would, then why wouldn't you want to escape that horrible reality? Like, I don't believe you think you can change at this point. I know you can. I've changed. I know a million people have changed. I know change is possible, and I know that you can totally rebuild yourself from the ground up. You just have to dismantle your belief systems and find the phoniness. Like, if you're looking for truth, when you find it, it's super eye-opening, and it makes you feel the real definition of woke, not the way that it's been taken over by PC culture, but like literally woke. You will be woke to reality. Like, you will realize that they're not a disappointment and you are completely worthy of love, and there's nothing wrong with the way you look at all. You know, I'm pretty sure it's against the rules for me to actually compliment the way you look, but otherwise I would. And like, you know, it's something that you need to like believe, you know, and the way to get there is to really get to know yourself and not believe what other people tell you about yourself. Like, it's hard to go against your own parents because you're like, but they're my parents. They want what's best for me. They probably do, but like, how capable are they of even knowing that? Like, where are they at in life? You know, go ahead.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know, you put your finger up. It looked like you were trying to make a point.
No.
You're like, excuse me. But it's true for all of us. Like, I don't feel like anybody in this room has a great opinion of themselves. Am I wrong? Do you have a great opinion of yourself?
Kind of.
I said no. You?
I'm pretty chill. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah? I feel like that could fall apart like
he thinks
very
he's
quickly.
the best looking man on the universe.
I am one ravishing human being.
I'm not going to argue, but I'm sure there's like other parts of yourself that, like, if I started to like really probe, and I'm not going to.
Please.
Yeah, we would unravel pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's not a solid foundation of self-love being built. Like, you don't wind up an addict because like you had the right kind of environment that fostered you, you know? Like, you don't wind up like wanting to escape the feeling of sitting with yourself, you know, when you come from like a really healthy, nurturing home. You just don't, you know? It's like something went down, something happened. It's not blaming your parents. There is no manual that they were supposed to follow that they messed up on. Plus, it's more than likely that they had lousy childhoods themselves and they never did the work to change. Your dad's in jail, right? Mm-hmm. Like, come on. What? You know, people talk a lot about white privilege in America. You like always hear about it. Mm-hmm. What about just privilege? Like, what if we just look at privilege? Like, what does privilege look like? It's not financial. It has nothing to do with economic status. It has to do with the way you're raised. Like, the privilege is, were you privileged enough to come from a home where your parents like built you up, made you feel loved and supported and appreciated? That's privilege. That's privilege. And like, kids who have that advantage. Now, the disadvantage, like I've told you guys, is they never actually have the problems to make them look inward, and they can't grow. Like any great leader has had that struggle that you guys have, unless they were born into a monarchy, right? Nobody who's ever rose up to lead a nation or anything has done that just because they had a super chill childhood and they felt great and they just, you know, slid into a profession and then they were making, you know, solid money and just like great family and everything's working out great, and they're just like, hey, you know what I want to do tomorrow is quit everything and lead this country to like freedom or whatever. It doesn't happen. You have to have that like hero's journey, which is what you guys are on, whether you realize it or not. Like, you overcoming your tendencies, for instance, to your homicidal feelings is going to make you just about invincible. And anytime you meet anybody who has homicidal feelings, like, you've just overcome all that. You literally can teach them, and not only can you teach them, but you will be able to navigate this world like a ninja, because you've literally just like beaten one of life's big hurdles. Like, everybody has their hurdle. You guys have yours as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, these are tough problems, but they're not unbeatable problems. All right, now I turn it over to you guys because I just realized I've been talking for like 8 minutes straight.
Hola.
Thoughts, comments, questions.
Facts. That was factual.
Yeah.
Very factual.
Yeah, thank you for that insight.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
And I relate to, like, my dad's in jail too, and like, people do say like, oh, you have white privilege just because I'm white, but like, I don't have a stable family. I don't have a dad. My mom's shiznit crazy, and yeah, and I'm here.
Right.
So not everything is perfect.
Right.
But it could be a lot worse. That's why I'm very grateful. And I used to be very ungrateful and very like entitled in a sense, because I always thought like, oh, I don't deserve this shit. I deserve so much better. And then I went through a time where like, oh, I don't deserve shit. Like, I'm worthless. Like, I deserve this or whatever.
That's how she's feeling.
And then now I'm at the point where like, life sucks. And that's life, but life can get better. There's moments of life sucking. There's moments of life being good. There's moments of life being terrible. Like, it's ups and downs. Like, that's all throughout life, and you just have to know how to navigate through it and stay strong. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. So that's why, like, I'm at my point where I'm like, I'm just chilling and shit.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's good. What do you think about that?
Bullshit. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not bullshit. You see me every day. I'm always happy,
I
even
know.
though I'm in rehab.
are.
Like, I'm happy as shit. Like, shiznit. And
Yeah.
I be like joking around and stuff because like this is my third rehab and I'm finally like, and I was in military school for 9 months, so like I'm finally like, this ain't that bad. I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna stay clean, and like I'm gonna move on with my life. Like I'm finally at that point where it's not what I want to be doing anymore, and I
Yeah.
know that this isn't what I want in my life, so I'm making the decision to stay clean. And even I'm not doing it for anybody else but me. Like I'm not doing it for my mom or my parents to like make them not disappointed in me or make them like my mom or my dad who I haven't seen in 10 years. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me to make myself proud. Like that's all that matters.
It's true.
I mean, you should care about your parents, but like they're always not the best people. And they're not always like, you can have family that's not blood. Like I have plenty of family that's not blood.
And don't forget, you're going to go live your own life. You're not going to live with your parents forever.
Yeah,
you know?
you're almost 18.
Yep.
You're like going to go out there and make your own world and raise your own family, hopefully, and have your own life and have your own, like, way of running stuff. Running shiznit.
Shiznit. I like that word.
I actually have 5 months before I can move out.
But it's like, all of you, your life is always in flux. Like, what you think, even if like you wake up and you're like, life sucks, that's honestly like saying the weather sucks. It's
Exactly.
gonna change,
It's not forever.
you know? It's like when I've talked to like suicidal people, it's just like, you do realize that nothing is fixed, right? Like things are gonna change, and almost everything that you hate about your environment, about yourself, about your situation will change. It's not even a question. It's inevitable. It's like problems that you all have right now will not stay with you for your whole life unless you ignore them, and then probably you will spiral into a terrible situation. But let's not hope for that, right? Let's fight for the other thing, because like nothing is unbeatable. Nothing. And even things that they haven't found a way to beat today they'll figure out tomorrow. Like it's like you just have to fight the good fight, and all of you have stuff that people have beat already. But even if there was somebody here who didn't, like it's like, okay, but just because it hasn't been solved yet doesn't mean it won't be. It's gonna happen.
Until the Dolphins take over.
That's true. We can remember Austin Powers when they had like lasers on their head?
Yeah.
Or those were sharks or
Shark. I think those were sharks.
yeah, they were sharks. Sharks with lasers.
Sharks with lasers. Anyways.
What
How
are
do
you
you
thinking?
Oh.
What are you thinking tonight?
Not too much. I don't know.
Are you still having your thoughts?
Not really. Not right now.
Not
What-
since before
What
breath
were
work.
the thoughts?
Huh?
What were your thoughts?
I don't know. I was just putting on a mask and I was like acting scary, and I knew my thoughts were gonna come, so I went and took my medication. So.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
So can we talk about that a little bit? Like maybe we can try and like work through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like tell me
Yeah,
what
sure.
like what goes on when you have thoughts.
I don't know. Just like, I guess they start like small, like, oh, what if I did this, or and like, what would I, what if I did that, or, and then they're like turn into like visions of me like hurting people or like killing people, or and then they're just like, and then I like want to act on them.
It's interesting. Like what you're describing is how everything great has ever happened. Also, like when Steve Jobs like came up with like the iPod and stuff like that, it all started exactly the same way. It's like you're like, could I do this? And then you imagine how you would do it, and then he went ahead and did it. Like the same way evil ideas, come into somebody's head, is the exact same way that good ideas. And like it's all. Here's what I used to tell people, and it was too generalized, but there's some truth in it. I used to talk about like the addict, and there is truth in this. Addicts like have the strongest imaginations. Like it's true. Like that is our power, and innovation comes from imagination. When I was a kid, we went to Disneyland, and I'm not a big fan of Disneyland, honestly, but there are some elements that I like. I am inspired by Walt Disney because he was like a dictator within a country without taking it over. But anyway.
I've been to Disney World.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's where I was, Disney World. They had like this ride called Figment of the Imagination. I don't know if it's still there. But it had like this little song. I still remember. Imagination, imagination. A dream can be a dream come true. And it was all like selling the propaganda of Disney and like how, you know, he just like acted on his imagination and built Disney into an empire, right? So, anyway, long story short, addicts have the strongest imaginations, period. Which is why like the great creative people in the world always either were on drugs and then stopped, or did drugs at some point, or just like had some craziness about them, right? Like addicts have the strongest imaginations. You can imagine scenarios so dark and twisted that horror writers in Hollywood would like, you know, they would like give you whatever, like they'd give you their homes to have your imagination. Like, you understand, like they can't write this stuff that you're coming up with, and they're making millions of dollars, and they're like sitting there with like writer's block, like pissed off because they suck. And like meanwhile you're sitting on this insanely great imagination that like you could do their job in a second way better than they could. It's a skill. And people who have weaker imaginations do not understand like the skill of addicts and their imaginations. Like, they do not understand that your imagination is actually, yes, it could be a terrible weapon on society, as you know, but it could also be the thing that makes you great. So the crazy thing about imaginations is this. Your imagination is the invisible muscle. Okay? So when you're an addict, you have like a crazy strong imagination, but it's like a wild horse. It's untamed. So it's like you cannot harness it for good power because you can't even control when it turns on and off. It is a muscle. It is strong, but it's not like in your control. The way muscles work is you have to learn how to control the muscle, which is why like weight lifters do like very regimented exercise. And like every day they repeat the same exact exercise. It's like, I want to work this muscle. I go like this for like 10 reps, and then I do this, and then I increase weight. And then it's not like they just like go like crazy and get strong, you know? Like they're not just like randomly lifting, and like it's very calculated. The imagination is the invisible muscle. Like when you have one and it's out of control, it can destroy you from within. Like it can be like what you said, where it's like, you suck, you're awful, you're unworthy, you should just, you know, you shouldn't be here, you know, you suck, you're a disappointment, blah blah blah. And it takes you to that place where you honestly believe it as a reality, even though it's totally fake. And anybody like outside of your imagination can look at you and be like, yeah, no, that's not true, you're great, but you're like, no, it is true, because your imagination is like the great influencer. It is the great propaganda machine in your brain. It is showing you videos so strong, so vivid that you believe them. The way to control your imagination and harness it for your desires is to literally build it like a muscle incrementally. And the way you do that is you catch it. Once it's gone too far, you cannot catch it. But in the preliminary stages, when you first start thinking like the thoughts and you catch yourself, you now make a slight change. You cannot steer a ship like this. If a ship is going like this, you can't go like that. You have to go like that, right? You can't turn something immediately around. You can only change its direction a little bit. So like in your case, when you're thinking like a negative thought, before you get to like the next stage, you change its direction slightly. If you try to shut it down right now, it's too strong. You won't be able to. But you can trick your own imagination. You can make sneaky little changes where you're like, I'm going to take this in a little different direction than where you're taking it, imagination. We're actually going to go a little to the right. Mm-hmm. And eventually, you control your imagination. Your imagination does not control you. Mm-hmm. Because you're in danger right now of being a slave to your imagination. Your imagination is dark as hell, which is cool. I mean, I'm sure you know, like, everybody comes in and they're like, you want to kill people? So, like, tell me about that. And they're like, it's kind of cool because if it wasn't cool, the horror movie industry wouldn't have, like, millions and millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. People are excited by it. But only when you can control it and it can't control you can you really cash in on your own imagination. And that's not just with dollars. It's with anything. Mm-hmm. But you do all have way stronger imaginations than most of the people you meet who are just, like, going to be sheep, essentially, in life. Because they're not visionaries. It's true. Like, you are visionaries. Your visions are working against you right now. You don't have control of them. The only thing that's wrong with you is that people don't know how to help you because, I mean, some people do. I know how to help you to some extent. Other people here know how to help you. But, like, the average person doesn't know how to help you because they've never been through it, and they're normal. They're not special. So you have powers, you just have to learn how to control them.
The Hills Treatment Center is an exceptional drug rehabilitation facility in Los Angeles, dedicated to the most progressive addiction treatment and recovery modalities. The Hills offers a unique educational and therapeutic rehabilitation experience that aligns with the most highly regarded standards of drug addiction treatment. The team of professionals at The Hills provide an encompassing rehabilitation program devised to address both the physical and emotional health of the addicted person. The Hills provides a myriad of specialized treatment programs that support the addicted person and their loved one from start to finish during rehabilitation. Moreover, treatment plans are made on an individual basis, and the experts at The Hills involve the addicted person throughout, knowing that they must have a stake in their own recovery and rehabilitation. After all, the addiction treatment staff, paraprofessionals, patients, and loved ones all work toward the same goals together. You are never alone in rehab at the Hills Treatment Center. We accept most major insurances, including United Healthcare, Cigna, and Aetna. For more information about the Hills Treatment Center, call 888-620-6877 today.
Thoughts, questions, ideas. I've been really ranty today.
You have, but it's okay. You're really good with analogies. I think that, like, how you were talking about, like, you can't turn like that. You can't. Sorry, I think it's too loud when I hold it up to sorry. But you can't turn like that. But you can turn like that.
It's true.
Yeah, and also, like, when you say that the average people don't know how to help you, I, like, relate because, like, my stepdad, who was married to my mom for like 8 years and then cheated on her, he, like, totally thought I was, like, worthless and, like, a drug addict, and, like, but he had never done drugs in his life, and he had never been through really stuff like that in his life, so he just thought the worst of me and, like, didn't think there was any hope for me.
Yeah, you can't even blame him for it because he's just ignorant. He just doesn't understand. Like, he doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. You know? People who have never painted don't know what to tell a painter. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you have no idea. You don't know how to hold a brush. So just because you're going to come in and criticize this art, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Where do you work? In a cubicle? Like, why are you talking to me about art? The good thing about being in a rehab is, like, hopefully most of the people know what you're dealing with so they can help you. Mm-hmm. When you're, like, outside there, it's like you said earlier. It's like you can't do it for anyone else. You got to do it for yourself. When you're out there, you have to be your own caretaker. Mm-hmm. So you just take what you learn here. You try not to forget it. But anyway, even if you don't remember, you probably won't remember half the things, 90% of things I say by tomorrow. But, like, they do seep in. And, like, it does sort of change your understanding of life a little bit. And it's like a little notch. Like, when I'm talking about turning the wheel, you know, on the ship, it's a little notch. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you go to your next group, and hopefully they turn you a little notch to the right direction, you know? It's
eventually
you turn the ship around. But it's amazing because like you will be stronger at the end of it. You guys will be the true definition of influencers. It's not the people on YouTube opposing yoga shots. It's like people who change the world. People can't. It's not just you. Like, I mean, people with lousy imaginations can't control them either. They just have weak imaginations. Their imaginations will never tell them in a million years that they should kill people because they don't have that kind of strength in imagination. Their imagination will tell them, eat a Pop-Tart.
Eat a Pop-Tart.
And they will.
It's like my imagination.
And
Eat a Pop-Tart.
Be an ostrich.
Be an ostrich. I want to be an ostrich.
It's literally true. Like, your mind is like giving you detailed scenarios of murder. Whereas, like, your average, person in America is their, like, imagination pops in and it's like, you need to eat a Pop-Tart. It's going to be like this. You're going to take it out of the wrapper. You're going to bring it to the toaster. You're going to push the button down. Then you're going to eat that Pop-Tart. And the people are like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And that's literally it. It's just a weak imagination. And they give into it. They don't, because it's like, who cares if they eat a Pop-Tart? They're not amounting to anything anyway, most of them. And it's just like,
it's like,
pay a Pop-Tart, pay a bill, and, live your life and die. It's the great innovators who have the powerful imaginations, and like Hitler. Let's go to the extreme. He had a crazy good imagination. I don't want to say good, but he had a crazy strong
good.
Imagination, right? He just like did not control it. That's the difference between like, I don't want to say who's a hero because I'm not even sure anymore, but I know Hitler wasn't. That's for sure. So that's the difference between somebody who is a hero and somebody who's a failure, like Hitler, who died in the bunker like a loser. It's like he literally had a super strong imagination. He had the power to be the greatest man of all time. Like everybody just, especially from me being Jewish and also a grandson of a Holocaust survivor, everybody likes to dismiss Hitler. Like, oh, what a loser, what an idiot. He actually was brilliant, and he had an amazing imagination.
You should bring your grandma so I can interview her.
She's in Scotland.
Oh, really? Scotland?
Yeah.
That's far.
It's like the guy was brilliant. It's just that he had absolutely no control over his imagination. Had he gone to like a rehab and actually worked on himself, like I'm suggesting to you guys that you already are doing, had he been able to control his imagination, he would have been the greatest leader of Germany. He would have been somebody who we all look up to. He had the power within him. He actually also recognized many problems that were wrong. Not the Jews was based on hatred, but a lot of the problems with Germany he recognized. I mean, I've read his book. Like he had a lot right. He just had no control over his crazy evil imagination. And it sunk him. And it will sink people. It's the same. It's the most extreme version of like, I have friends who have OD'd and died. Their imaginations were strong, but they had no control over it, and it sunk them. People who history looked at as a hero, they had control over their imagination. It's like if you're coming to evil conclusions, it's because your imagination is stronger and it controls you and you don't control it. That's it. Simple. But only a few people are blessed with super strong imaginations like you guys and myself. Like, you have the power. Just learn how to utilize it for good now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I'm going to open it up to you guys for the last 5 minutes of group, and then we'll call it a night. Actually, it's 7 minutes. But
I forgot to mention that on all levels except physical, I am an ostrich.
An ostrich?
Yes. I have been acting like an ostrich for the past few days.
Your head is in the sand?
Yes.
What does that mean? I want to know more about this.
I literally act like an ostrich.
Yeah.
Like, it's not figuratively at all. It's totally literally. Like, I get really hyper. Like,
Uh-huh.
I have ADHD. And, like, I have problems sitting still and, like, focusing. And that's, like, why I'm not just here for drugs. it's also behavior, being impulsive and stuff like that. And
Yeah, imagination control. Go on.
And like I get bored and I start acting like an ostrich because it makes them laugh and it's kind of funny.
Well, if you're doing it to make them laugh, then I'm all for it. You know.
But I just thought I should mention that.
It's cool. Ostriches are pretty cool.
I like them.
Their eggs are huge. You ever have one?
No, I've never had
It's
one.
like a Fred Flintstone omelet. It's
I've
true.
seen
They're
like
like this big.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Ostriches are huge.
Yeah.
They're like tall. That big.
Oh, the other thing I should tell you guys is that usually it gets easier as you get older to control your imagination. I mean, it's totally doable when you're young, but it also gets easier the older you get. So as long as you're trying, age plus, time plus effort will equal success. Like, you don't have to be that old either, but
I feel like as you get older, you get more a sense of control too, especially when you get past 18 too. I mean, some people they're like it spirals out of control, but like
Right.
the people that can grasp that control, the slight control that you do have over your life, because there's not really much you can control in your
Yeah.
life, but if you get a grasp of what you can, that's a good thing. Like you're really a lucky one.
yeah. I think the brain finishes developing at 25.
25.
So like your brains are all like literally still developing, and the kind of cool, I don't know which wire that is, but the kind of cool thing about like going through this while your brain is developing is that you kind of can sculpt your own brain. Like your brain is still kind of clay right now.
It's not
And-
hardened yet.
Yeah, and like you guys through your own work can sort of sculpt where your brain's going to wind up at 25. And by the way, this is not scientific, this is just me, but I don't even think the brain stops at 25. I just think it slows down. But I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not a scientist, but they're probably wrong too. So a lot of scientists are like,
A lot of people told me I couldn't be an ostrich, but I'm an ostrich.
dude, you did it. You had a dream and you followed it, and look at you now. It's kind of a funny animal to pick. Like, an ostrich is known for putting its head in the sand. And like that is kind of like a good analogy for you. Like you are sort of like closing out the world sometimes. So
For sure.
that's pretty funny. So where are you at with everything? I haven't really heard much from you since you said that you're unworthy and that and then I just went on a crazy rant. No, not crazy, but like impassioned.
Enlightening.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm just ready to go to my room.
Well, what do you think of all the stuff I said? Did it help you at all with like, I know that you're not going to be like, I don't hate myself anymore. I don't want drugs anymore. Thanks, Shark Man. I'm going to go and have a Pop-Tart now. But, but like, did it kind of change anything for you about the way you see things?
I don't know. Not really. I mean, I still hate myself.
Well, you said that it's not going to just change your mind about that. You have to change your own mind.
I mean, I understood everything you were saying, and it's like I don't know.
You have to change the way you think about yourself.
For sure.
What were you gonna say a second ago? Because I feel like you're stopping yourself, and I really don't want you to self-censor.
I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna like just throw it, like what you said away. I'm actually gonna like use it, I guess.
It's good. And by the way, guys, if you ever disagree with me, tell me. And like, I'm not like some great guru. I'm just somebody who's been through it and like try to impart what I know, what worked for me. But if you're ever like, no, or that doesn't make sense to me, or like, I
think you have great advice.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Okay, but you guys know you don't need to say that too. I just want to make that clear. Like, you guys, like, if I'm like, what do you think of this? And you're like, I think it's all a lot of BS, and actually, like, I don't care. I'll be like, all right, fair. That's what you think, but
I think you could be an amazing writer, like the next Stephen King.
Oh yeah, probably even better.
Stephen King is amazing.
Have you ever thought about like just writing some of this
You
stuff?
should.
And he
I
writes,
thought
like-
about it just now, like when you were talking about like how I could use mine, and like how I have all these ideas, and like when
You should.
some writers are like,
He's a good
Writer's
poem
block.
writer too.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying in Judaism that there are no bad impulses, and this is like from like back in the day, like, so when people were more like farmers and stuff.
Farmers.
But it was like, if somebody has, it says like in Judaism that some people are born with a taste for murder. These people make the best butchers. Like,
maybe that should be my next job.
Be a butcher.
Yeah.
it's true, but like the lesson from that is just like, there are no bad impulses. All impulses you have are for a good reason. You just have to learn how to use them for good. Like, you don't literally have to be a butcher. Like, back then there were farmers and there were more butchers. Like, now there's more writers. Like, you could be a writer. Like, everything you have is a talent. It's not like you should be like slapped on the wrist and be like, bad thought. It's not like you're you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, you're having good thoughts. It's just like, when you take thought and turn thought into action, will the action be positive or negative? Like the thought is there because you're supposed to do something with it. It's just like, you're not supposed to do something evil with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why we have morality. It's like, anyone who's trying to like tell you not to think that's mind control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's straight up mind control. It's like, don't think that. Well, I'm sorry. Like, what would you say that to Mozart when he had the ideas for his like greatest symphonies come into his head? It's like, you could stop a genius like that, like from fulfilling their potential. You could be better than Stephen King if you turn it into writing. You could be the world's best butcher. There's probably about 100,000 things you could do that are positive with the thoughts you already have.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know all of them. That's too off the top of my head, like, talking to you. But, like, you're not a bad person. And the fact you have these thoughts is a talent.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to be, you just need to build the muscle of imagination so you can control when you have them and what you do with them.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to be a slave to your imagination. If your imagination tells you go have a Pop-Tart and you're diabetic, you're going to die.
So don't eat that Pop-Tart.
Yeah, you have to be like, that's, food addiction, which I deal with. It's like, you have to know like how to change the course of action from thought. Thought, never evil. Action, sometimes evil. Like, you gotta just not act evil, but anything you think is potentially good and can be used for creativity and to build and change the world in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, people love horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, books, whatever. Video games. There's so much you could do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get one.
And
last
people
time.
love ostrich farms.
Thank you.
I've been to a few.
Really?
I have, yeah.
I want to go to one.
There's a really dope one, and it's like, it's really cool. And the funniest thing is they have like this thing where like these holes, like 3 layers. How do I describe it? It's like 3 layers of holes on like a wood board, and then they have all these goats, and they just like pop their heads out of the holes, and then they all make goat noises like. And it was like one of the funniest things I ever saw, straight up. Just like, and like one of them like licked my hair. Yeah, and just like, I'm like telling my wife, take a picture of me with all these goats with their heads coming out of the holes, and then I stood in front of it and like licked my hair. I'm like,
I want an ostrich to lick me.
I think that
Ostriches
I
probably
think
can't
that
do
like
that.
if you pet an ostrich, they're actually sharp on their neck. Like, I think their hairs are sharp.
Oh, shit.
I'm not sure if that's a fact, but I think
I
it
should
is
know
a fact.
this. I'm an ostrich.
I mean,
I don't know about my. I need to be reunited with my kind.
You're definitely ostrich inspired. I mean, you are
Ostrich.
wearing black and white shirt, which is ostrich colors, classic ostrich. So, so we have like 1 minute left. So I guess we'll just sign off. Any closing thoughts from anybody?
I think it would be funny if I was a butcher because I'm vegetarian.
He is vegetarian.
That's cool. You know, there's a place called the Ubiquitous Butcher. And I haven't been there, but it's famous and I really want to go. They are a totally vegan butcher shop.
That makes no sense. What?
That's funny.
Yeah, I've read about them. I want to go there. They do all vegan meats and cheeses, and they're called the Ubiquitous Butcher. So maybe you should like murder a carrot. I don't know, or a beet. Yeah, you've got skills. You all do, and you need to learn You need to learn who you are, who you really are, not who you told you were, so that you can fall in love with yourself. Like, you know, it's like, I probably said it to you guys before, but if you go on a date, like people go on Tinder dates and stuff.
I have a Tinder.
Yeah, and like they just meet a stranger.
Yeah.
And if that
that's what I
stranger
do.
tells them after meeting them on Tinder after one date, like, I love you, they're straight up lying. That's a lie. You don't love that person. You don't know that person. You can't love what you don't know. Mm-hmm. They might think you're like attractive and they might want to win you over, but if they tell you they love you after they just met you for a day or a night, that's a lie. If you guys don't really know who you are, and I would put money that none of you really do, because I mean almost nobody your age knows who they are fully, but especially in your cases where you haven't had the sort of kick to go into like a self-analysis until now, or a push, if you want to be less violent about it, to go into like a self-analytical place and to actually try and do some self-discovery. You don't know who you are. And once you know who you are, you can fall in love with yourself. If you say you hate yourself, that's a default thing. You hate yourself by default. You don't even know who you hate. You're just like, you may as well arbitrarily say that you love yourself. All you feel you hate is what your parents think of you, or someone else who you think, you know, has told you something, thinks of you. You're just agreeing with someone else about you. You're not forming your own opinion about yourself. Because people are inherently good, and people can all change and reform. That's a fact. So if your intention is to be good, you will be good. And if you are good, what's not to love, you know? So it's like a pretty simple formula. Want to be good, fall in love with yourself. And then all those negative feelings will melt away, and you just won't have to deal with them, and you could go on to do really cool things with your life, you know?
Yes, sir.
So... We're out of time. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Unnoticed Observer, your window into group therapy. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review. For all the latest updates and info, follow us on Facebook at Unnoticed Observer Podcast. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.